All right, so we're back at the podcast booth of DigiMarCon Vancouver 2024. Melissa was just on the show. We've just swapped spots as she now wants to interview me for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Over to you.
Okay, ready to get started?
Let's go.
Why don't you share with the audience here, what is your story?
Where do you want me to start? How far back do I start?
You have 2 minutes.
Okay. So my background's in marketing. I've had a marketing company for about 3 years now. Before that, I had 2 other ones that were kind of like not as successful. Before that, I was a freelance social media manager and basically everything: web designer, landing page builder, copywriter. Worked with clients like Grant Cardone, Frank Kern. And then from there, I was like, oh, I hate freelancing because I didn't want to be the guy who did everything. Started the agency. And that was right before COVID happened. And so we were getting into B2B marketing, and it was just the perfect timing to go into LinkedIn, because as things were shutting down, we were like, hey, what's the thing that people are going to replace the in-person networking stuff with? LinkedIn kind of became that place. So that's why I believe the company became so successful. And then that brought us up to 2024 of January this year. We got bought out by Oration Global, and then I became a partner to Oration Global. So Oration Global is a parent company. It now owns a marketing company. It also owns a government grants and financing company. So it helps clients get access to government grants, private lending with banks, helping them basically kind of shop around for deals that, usually business owners, they go to one bank and the bank says no, and it's like, okay, that's it, I can't get granted or funded. But we know who to go to depending on what your industry you're in, what kind of risk tolerance which banks have, based on that. And then lastly, we have Stone Owl, which is our company that offers multi-family office services. So we look at tax effective ways to pull money out of a corporation for businesses that eventually kind of get to the point where they're like, hey, I'm paying a lot of taxes. What do you want me to do?
I want to go back to your LinkedIn journey,
Okay.
part of your entrepreneurship story.
Okay.
So now you're doing a talk tomorrow on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
What would be like top 3 tips you would share related to LinkedIn if someone wants to grow their LinkedIn?
So when people think LinkedIn, they kind of think, I was talking to someone earlier today, they think that it's just messages in an inbox. It's so much more than just that, because all the background work that you do preparing for the campaign that you run is so much more important. So I feel like a quarter of my talk tomorrow is going to be literally how to use Sales Navigator to find the people that you want to go after and filter them down from there, because you have limitations on LinkedIn. You can only send 25 new invites per day. And if you're wasting 5 of them a day on people who was never going to buy from you, they're not even target. 5 a day becomes 25 a week, becomes 100 in a month that you've just wasted. So targeting, number 1, is key. Number 2 is content. So making sure that you actually create content that speaks to your audience and the client avatar that you're going after. The biggest mistake I see is people who create content that's too generic because they want to try to get reactions and likes from everybody, when in fact you should really only be making content that speaks to that specific audience that you're trying to sell to. So even if you only get 5 reactions, but it's from the 5 people that actually matters to you, that's what's more important, and that's going to give you the biggest ROI in terms of putting money and investing in content. I would say the last one is just to understand that usually LinkedIn, if you're marketing on LinkedIn, you're B2B. B2B has much longer sales cycles. So if you're on there trying out a campaign for 2 weeks and expect results, it's not going to happen. You normally take 9 months, 6 months, or a year and a half. I have a construction company that takes 2 years to close a deal.
Oh, wow.
And if they pull out after 2 months saying that they didn't get a sale, then it's like, well, you just told me you take 2 years to convert a client. How do you expect to get results in 2 months? So patience and making sure that you stick around and stick with the process long enough. And a lot of prospects ask us, how do we know it works? And my best answer to them is to say, hey, you're on this call with me, you're in this meeting with me because I did the thing that I'm trying to sell to you. So obviously it's working. We're in this meeting together right now. So those are the 3 things.
That's awesome. Why do you think LinkedIn is better for B2B than the other marketing methods out there?
I would say the other ones, it's worth, I would say, 80-20, right? Spend 80% of your time. If you're B2B, spend 80% of your time on LinkedIn, and then maybe you want to allocate some budget towards the other platforms just in case.
Yeah.
Especially, it's really good for retargeting the other platforms. If you hit them hit them on LinkedIn, maybe send them to a website, and all of a sudden, if they visited your website, they start seeing your ads on Facebook and Instagram because you're retargeting with that 20%. And more directly to that question, I would just say that the audience that you're going after is probably most likely to be on LinkedIn anyways if you're selling B2B for the most part.
Very true.
but you just want to go where your people are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What would you say for your journey as an
Mhm.
entrepreneur? Because you've been doing this for quite some time
Yeah.
now with different businesses.
Mhm.
What's been something that you encountered that you had not expected as part of the journey
Um.
that you want to share to the audience?
Well, I mean, there's so much. Every
Yeah.
month there's something new. It's like I expected there to be a lot of rejection, but I thought that you know, I think that I've always kind of thought that was pretty kind of tough skin, but you don't really know how um soft, if you will, you can be until someone like really rejects the crap out of you.
Yeah.
And it's hard. Like it's like one no after another no after another no because but that's part of the game, right? You got to talk to 100 people to maybe get one yes.
Yeah.
So was I willing to stick around for those 99 no's, or like I had some really aggressive ones that would basically tell me to F off or whatever. Um,
On LinkedIn?
so, oh yeah,
Oh.
oh yeah.
I thought people are generally nicer on LinkedIn.
No,
Oh, they're not?
No, or they would get on a call with me to tell me to F off.
No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. That was there was only one guy who did that.
Okay.
So not they, but one guy.
Oh my. Ooh, okay.
Yeah, but I mean that's all part of the game, and I think there's so much
That's
more to
true.
that. The anxiety of not knowing, unknown whether or not a client's going to pay, especially when you only have like, for us, I knew at the time we needed 5 clients to keep the company alive every month, to pay the bills, pay the team members, and then I know they always say like pay yourself first, but I always pay myself last because I'm like I can't do that unless I take care of everyone else. Right. And so, okay, if we went from that to 2, then it's like the anxiety of, okay, where am I gonna be able to keep the team, help them put food on the table, right? Yeah.
Okay. What's the hardest lesson you learned from entrepreneurship?
Hardest lesson. Oh man, totally drawing blanks. I guess there's got to be so many, but I think for me, it's just execution, right? Back then, I was really good at coming up with ideas. And also, I guess so 2 parts of this: execution, like actually you doing the work, but also knowing who to listen to. Because back then, I would come up with a lot of ideas. Even now, I think it's partly the ADHD, coming with a lot of ideas.
You're just a creative person, David.
Yeah, but it's like you tell people your ideas, and then they would come to you with like, "Oh no, this and you can't do that. That's crazy." And so I would take all of those in, and I would just never do anything because of it. Right. Okay. And so, okay, understand who to listen to, and then once I have an idea, instead of just leaving it as an idea, execute on the damn thing. Right. Make the thing happen. Test it. Give it a couple months, and then also again, not worrying so much about. I guess it's become a couple lessons. Not worrying about what people think, especially if, as I started, I went into one thing for 3 months. Oh, I don't like it, or it didn't work. I go into the next thing for 3 months, and then all of a sudden, you get a track record of all these things you were trying to do, and everybody knows about it, and they're like, David never sticks to the thing that he does. It's like, well, you don't kind of. It's not. I'm pivoting. Yeah, that's what it is, right? So not worrying about their opinions until, eventually something's gonna stick.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I always believe in testing. It's like you don't know if you like something if you don't test out and try it. And it's okay to pivot, because why would you stick to something that you don't like just for the fact of like, oh, you don't want other people to judgment and stuff like that, but it's your life.
Yeah. It's exactly all it is.
Yeah. Any last words you want to share in terms of anything?
Just go do the thing. If you're a business owner, just do the thing you're thinking. I think that's the biggest.
Yeah.
It's nothing fancy, but it's just do the thing that you've always wanted to do, business wise, right? And keep your head down for as long as you can to do it. And then, that at one time you do pop your head up, you'll kind of look back and see how far you actually went. Like for me, I was like years in the trenches. I'm like, I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. But then the moment I look up, I'm like, holy crap. Revenue's grown by this much, the team's grown by this much, or we've churned around this many people, this many new clients. We've developed our product this much further. And that's all stuff you don't really realize when you're working in the business.
Very true.
Right. So just go do the thing.
Perfect. Well, thanks for sharing all that, David. And it was fun.
Thanks.